The artist Todd Shore in 1998, using acrylic on canvas, created this masterpiece titled The Hunter Gatherer. The piece was crafted in the tradition of pop surrealism, or so called lowbrow art, which arose in the 1960s in LA. It was an underground movement that drew inspiration from punk music, underground comics such as Zap, which dealt with issues considered too taboo by mainstream comic books, as well as from graffiti and hot rod culture. Shore here depicts a hominid grasping for toys in a bamboo swamp, a pack full of various iconic figures from the 1950s and 60s, including clutched within his palm a Mickey Mouse. All the while seemingly hypnotized by the severed pig leg that serves as a dance floor for a wooden mouse and an African fertility goddess. Hi, and welcome to the channel. My name's Zach Hancock, and I am an evolutionary biologist. I'd like to begin by telling you a little bit about myself, my work, background, and scientific interests, and then go through the general goals of the channel and list of video projects that I intend to publish in the coming weeks and months. Okay, so first, a bit about me. I'm a postdoctoral researcher at the University of Michigan, where I study spatial population genetics. I do this by combining statistical and mathematical models with both empirical and simulated data sets to try to understand the interactions between genetic ancestry and geography. If you're familiar with things like Ancestry.com or 23andMe, then you can kind of imagine my current work as being similar to this, but we're generating a bit more complex models for correlating genes with geography. I got my PhD from Texas A&M University, and there my thesis work was on the molecular and genome evolution and phylogenetics of a clade of beach crustaceans. You can see them pictured here. They are the small, opaque colored crustacean, and this is a phylogeny on the right that I did of the entire family as well as its relationships between other members of the order of amphipods. Okay, so goals of the channel. First, we intend to promote the work of evolutionary biologists, especially those from underrepresented groups. We're going to try to do this through a series of interviews and just kind of like fireside chats to introduce to you their work, sort of the things that they do, as well as to talk about their journey through science. Second, we're really going to focus on non Darwinian mechanisms of evolution. Um, Already a lot of channels focus on Darwin and Darwin's work and natural selection, but here we're going to really try to drive home the importance of non Darwinian mechanisms. Third, I'm going to use this channel as a jumping off point for dispelling myths related to human behavioral genetics, race science, etc., by looking at the primary literature on these subjects and just tackling them head on. Then I'm going to present some basics of evolutionary models, emphasizing those from both population genetics and phylogenetics. And then finally, we'll just have some random discussions on the history of evolutionary theory, specifically since Darwin. So here are a couple of planned series that I have currently. The first is going to be just a series on the evolution of the invertebrates. This is a rehash of a laboratory series that I created for when I was a teaching assistant at Texas A&M. So I've just taken that and I've tried to remold it in such a way that it will fit well as a YouTube series. Second, we're going to have a series that's going to be a little bit more free flowing, and that's just reviewing junk science, as I talked about before, looking at things like human behavioral genetics work and race science, educational attainment, GWAS studies, all of that kind of junk. Then we'll have a series on evolutionary models. We'll start with the simplest of evolutionary models, which are sort of the verbal models that Darwin put forward, and then transition into things like Hardy-Weinberg, and then we will work our way through Wright-Fisher models, and then add in some space, stepping stone models, etc., just to kind of let you get an understanding about how we actually use statistical and mathematical models in evolution. And then finally, a series on non Darwinian evolution and its history. How did it arise? Why is it important? Why does it matter? And why is it one of the major ways in which we study evolution today is through these non Darwinian mechanisms? And so, with that, I want to thank everybody for watching. Hope you stick around for these planned series going forward. Let me know in the comments if you have anything you would like to hear specifically or like to see. And thanks for being here.